Welcome back to the Birdies and Bourbon Show. It's a pleasure, joined by three-time PGA Tour winner Scott Stallings and, might I mention, fellow East Tennessean. Scott, how you doing, buddy?
Yes, good, man. How are you guys? Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah. No, thanks for taking some time. We might get into a little bit of what's going on today, so we don't want to date the show too much, but we'll hint around on it. By the way, you may be sipping on something, by the way. I don't know. Are you?
Yeah, a little Parker's Heritage, little heavy char. One of my favorites.
Okay.
So I don't know if we're giving the date or not, but it's a nice festive day, and been grilling a lot, so it seemed perfect.
I thought I'd join you. I figured talking to a Tennessee guy, I'd sip on a little Chattanooga whiskey single barrel. So seemed fitting.
Nice, man. There were some great dudes. I was down there not too long ago and met the guys and got to taste some of their Solera barrel, which was incredible. It was high proof, and I was with my buddy Drew Holcomb. We were down there playing some golf, and it's a cool, just the whole facility and everything they're building down there is pretty awesome. But I'm not too much of a malted guy, so it was cool to kind of go and experience something that I'm not necessarily super familiar with. But whenever that Solera barrel comes out, I'll definitely be in line to find one of those.
I hear you. I'll probably be standing right beside of you, behind you. If I'm in front of you, you can cut line and come up and stand with me. We'll figure it out, man. But yeah, that really, really cool stuff that they're doing at Chat Whiskey. So we've had those guys on the show and big fans of what they're doing. So likewise, I'll be looking forward for some new expressions coming out. Okay, so you went there. We're talking about the Chattanooga area. I got to ask a question. So there's a little golf course. I figure if I'm going to derail this thing, I'll do it right off Jump Street. That way we don't waste anybody's time. There's a little 9-hole golf course, allegedly just outside of Chattanooga. I hear that it is possible on the par threes there to shoot to score 2 net 3. Is that rumored or is that true?
That's in fact true, 100%. Actually, funny you say that. Matt and I've been trading voicemails back and forth today, and man, what a great dude! And I love to give him a hard time and everything that they've done down there, not only for themselves and the brand and the experience they've created, but just golf in general in the state of Tennessee. They've been a huge supporter, and going to do some cool events with them coming up in 2022, and just excited to see. But yes, in fact, we play an event down there with the bourbon brand, and they like to handicap the pros. And I had made a few the year before. I'd played pretty good one of the rounds, and I said, man, if I could just get off these 2 net 3s, I'd be doing pretty good. And then it just started happening over and over and over again. And then Matt started following me around and just giving me a hard time and said, next time I go down there, there's going to be some kind of shirt or sticker or something. Home of the 2 net 3.
I heard
y'all do your hats off. Y'all do your research. That was pretty great.
Yeah, well, I heard that the shirts and stickers could be in the works. So I don't know what you're up to these days, or down to, I guess I should say, but make sure he's got the right shirt size for you. Got to keep it looking sharp. Got to keep it looking sharp. So let's get into it, man. What's I'm sure most people listening know Scott Stallings. New England guy originally, made your way to Tennessee. I'm a little bit surprised. Well, let me rephrase that. I grew up in East Tennessee, so not too far from Knoxville. A lot of family still lives there. How's a PGA Tour pro stay grounded in Knoxville, man? I mean, no South Florida, no Arizona. What's up with that?
I lived in Arizona for the almost 7 years. My wife, we've been married 15 years this year, Jennifer, and I have 2 kids, Finn, who's 8, and Millie, that's 5. And I lived in Arizona from probably into 2013 to 2019. We built our house here in Knoxville, 2.5 years or so ago. And I mean, this East Tennessee is where I grew up. It's where I want to raise my family. We loved Arizona. We loved Scottsdale. Awesome club out there, Whisper Rock, that I was a member at. Incredible place. I'm actually going there on Wednesday for a few days. But I don't know, man. Golf takes you a bunch of unique places, but you can only call one place home. And driving down Pellissippi Parkway to my house here, and with our friends and family that are here, feel fortunate enough where I can live anywhere, and we're not too far away from somewhere warm, and kind of at the point in my life and my career, I want to live where I want to live and, go practice and get ready where I can. We've got some great facilities in here too. And I kind of built a place in my house where I can hit, and I'm never really too far away from it. So,
nice.
And we play a ton of tournaments now. I know you guys follow it. We basically never quit. So it's kind of nice to go have a week off and the weather's not great. Like, man, I actually just hit a few balls inside, maybe play 9 holes and, kind of get away from it just a little bit.
Oh, very cool.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's, it's, as the tour has kind of grown, right? I mean, there used to be a season and now it's just, it's the never ending season, right? I mean, if you wanted to play year round, I mean, you pretty much can. I mean, maybe a couple weeks out of the year, but then there's some other tournaments that kind of go on maybe outside of the tour, that where you can you're still playing at action. So I know a huge CrossFit guy and, kind of had a turnaround in your life. If you haven't listened to Scott's story about, kind of where he was and what he what he turned himself into, just fantastic story and just the motivation drive that you've kind of kept to do that. But what's Scott Stallings? What's the DNA that kind of allows you to take that time off and be grounded and get away from the sport?
A lot of experience, I guess. Actually, with the working out, I had a couple college kids over at my house a little while ago, and we literally just had that same conversation of, like when to get away, when to kind of put your foot down, and kind of how to balance all that out. Just the volume of play that we have, and you want to be excited to go to the course and not feel like, you want to go with this sense of expectation, not like, oh my gosh, I got to do this again. And, COVID was different for a lot of different people and quarantine, but golf had gotten pretty stale for me. I was in the midst of my 10th season, and it was just like, man, like if I could ever just have like a timeout. And I mean, unfortunately, that was not what I had envisioned in my mind, nor anyone. But it was a unique time. I had put my clubs down for 7 weeks. Literally, I had to go film this wedge thing. We were doing this little par 3 thing, part of our Kids Play Free program here in Knoxville, and my clubs were still in my travel bag from the players, and it was 7 weeks after. So a little bit of that, and I took the staff bag, put it away, grabbed my full carry bag, started walking, playing, and just realized, I mean, I truly do love this game. And, it was kind of a great time to get around and, play high school, college, other pros, and, kind of figure out different ways to get better. And I wouldn't necessarily call it a rededication, but a little bit more of just a kind of a re-sense of purpose, kind of understanding a great opportunity that it gives me to play on tour. I don't think I ever took it for granted, but just I was either like all in or all out. Like I never really knew how to kind of have like a happy medium. And, I think it's always a work in progress, but anything as you get older and have more experience, you can kind of be able to look back and like, man, I'm an idiot and kind of figure it out. Like for instance, like I look at my schedule coming up. I've been playing and practicing and hitting balls, but I'm getting ready to play 8 of the next 9 weeks.
Wow.
So like I'm going to play plenty.
That's a lot.
And kind of what that looks like and kind of know, like, I know what I need to do to get ready. And if I'd have been, had never really taken any time away and gone into a stretch like that, I'd be like, man, like, what am I doing? But now I can build those kind of stretches into my schedule when I'm like, man, I can't wait to get out there. And, I know kind of what works best for my game and, high volume play and small stretches and kind of push it all out there and then kind of get away from it, reevaluate and go from there.
Yeah. So that's so in you mentioned you were heading to Arizona, getting ready for the calendar year 2022, I guess. What does that look like for Scott, right? Okay, when do you set your schedule? So you're playing 8 of the next 9. When does it start? I'm
gonna play Palm Springs through LA, take Honda off, and then play through Tampa. So I'm gonna have one. I'm gonna go to Arizona next week, this week, which is I guess we're gonna give the date, this is Sony week.
Yeah.
So sorry, I don't know how you guys put your shows.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
All good, man.
And then go play and practice the rest of this week in Arizona, then go to Palm Springs and kind of lay it out. But I think a little bit of it too. You kind of early in my career, I'd always played bad on the West Coast. I'd always been kind of in the winter of Tennessee. I never went out early enough, and never really adjusted quick to the time change. And I always try to take a week off and come back. And, just like anything, the more you do it, what you figure out works best. And so I go out there, and I've had a great experience on all those courses. I've, won at Torrey and had other chances to win at the other events as well. So I look forward to that stretch. And, then you get to Florida and, some great events with Bay Hill, and obviously a 3-year exemption and Players, and Tampa, a place I've had an opportunity to win as well. So experience, logistics, time, how you feel. I mean, there's a million different ways to go about making a schedule, but I kind of do mine like 3-4 months at a time, and kind of go from there.
Yeah, paycheck's going to look a little different at the Players this year.
Yeah, actually, I kind of knew about that, but then like when your buddies start asking you about it, it's like, y'all are playing for 20 million. I mean, and then you just like say that out loud. You're like, oh my gosh. Like, I remember my rookie year, I thought it was nuts. The average purse was 6.1 million. I'm like, this is great. And now we're talking about next year, the average purse is going to be almost $10 million, which, the TV contracts and everything with ESPN and all the stuff that Jay's doing. And, this next season on tour will be super interesting with everything that's happened in the Middle East and Saudi, and, who knows what in the world's going to happen with that. So it's a good time to be out there and just get your popcorn ready and see truly what all, when it all comes out, what takes place.
Do you like that, Scott? Do you like the being mic'd up and the cameras everywhere, no matter what time or, what day it is?
I think it's interesting, in the process of, you can mic up football players, you can mic up baseball and this and that, but there's so much downtime in our sport. I mean, you can play a round of golf in 2.5 minutes. Like, you got to you got to do something creative during that other time, just because we're out there for so long. So, just little idiosyncrasies and stuff that you come in contact with, conversations with caddies, conversations with other players. Maybe there's some conversations that maybe should have the edit button of, there's a lot of banter that goes back and forth, especially if you end up playing with some people that you're close with. I know there's been some stuff that me and some of my buddies out there have talked about, like, please God, let this not be on TV. But, and nothing even bad, just stuff that like maybe are, kind of taken out of context or whatever. But, it's a way to kind of put our sport in a little bit of a different category than others, and, a way to kind of showcase some personality as far as us. I mean, people know that we play golf and we're the best players in the world, but, a way to kind of show just a little bit different of, what people may or may not think, and opportunities like this as well. Being able to speak to a different audience and kind of showcase we are golfers and that's what we do, but I mean, we're people as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's it's interesting, right? To watch it on TV is one aspect, and you really, if you're with the golfer, with the professional athlete, along with them, kind of experiencing, what's going on. But really, just a whole different dynamic of being there live. It's like you go to a football game, you go to a basketball. Maybe basketball's a little closer. Baseball, I mean, you're so far removed from the on course or on field activity versus when you're on the course, man. I mean, you're right there. You're watching the good, the bad, the ugly. I mean, everything that's going down.
Yeah, it's weird. Golf's the only common ground sport like there truly is. Like, you and I can go like throw passes with Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers, but like, I'm not going to run across the middle and like take a shot, or like, I mean, I can go do batting practice or something fun in baseball, or, shoot free throws or this and that. But, when the gun goes off, it's over. But golf's you could take a tour player and a good amateur and, find some type of, way with tees and handicap, or, some way to find some competitive match. And, that's kind of the unique part of our sport, a way to kind of bring it where it's, more kind of inclusive and collective. Granted, it's a little bit different maybe when you're watching us play, but you can at least have a little bit more of a unique playing experience, instead of next thing you know, Aaron Rodgers is sending you on a slant against the linebackers, and you're like, no, I'm good.
I'm thinking Aaron Rodgers probably knocks me down with the ball before anybody gets a chance to hit me. So my wads aren't what they used to be. So
Nice.
That's awesome.
So heading into calendar year 2022, what are you working on, man? What's in the game? What's working really well for you? And what do you got to tune up a little bit? I guess I'm assuming that's what's happening in Arizona, right? Kind of fine tuning, prepping, getting things ready.
Yeah. A little bit of it is just kind of, I had a good fall. I had a couple of chances to win there. A great final round in Bermuda kind of shot me way up there. But it had, everyone's into analytics and, figuring out what they needed to do to get better. And I had a guy, I work with a guy named Hunter Stewart, who's as much of a bourbon aficionado as any person I know, and, great person to know, and, cool golf story in his own right. But he said, man, I need you to do a little bit more. I need you to stop being you when you're out there. And you hear a player, as a player, you're like, how am I going to be not me? He goes, well, man, you do the same thing like every week. He said, you have no variance. Like your lows aren't really low and your highs aren't really high. And it's just kind of like this. Mm-hmm. He said, the way that our sport is with the FedEx Cup, it's so top heavy. In order to really make a splash or make a gain, you have to have those outlier weeks, and you have to have that, plus 10 strokes gained putting, or, a crazy approach week, or this and that. So, he kind of highlighted a few different events that would kind of be tailor-made for my game and the way that I play. And we've kind of been keying on those and understanding of when you get the opportunity to not be necessarily shy away from it. And we definitely saw that play out in the fall. I was in the second to last group on Sunday. I didn't play very well in Sea Island, but in 7 events in the fall, I had essentially 3 opportunities to win, or in a position to have great weeks. And so that's a little bit more, kind of maybe not necessarily what you're working on, but a little bit different mental approach when you're out there on the course. And but it was a unique conversation just in the way they presented. I need you to stop being you all the time.
Right. And when you're saying that, is that like, are you saying like from a course management perspective and kind of the way you're setting up, and is it changing? So you've got a plan, obviously, when you get to the course, right? When you tee it up on Thursday, there's a plan and how you're going to execute. And then is it, okay, here's plan A, here's plan B, here's plan C, depending on where you're sitting as you go through the weekend?
A little bit of it is, but trying to figure out how to make the course give you as many, like perfect example is I never played good in Napa. And we just adjusted a game plan. He said, man, I'm going to try to give you, he said, you're really good in this chunk of yardages. He said, but the way that the course sets itself up, he's like, you don't really get a chance to showcase what you're best at. He said, so I'm going to change your strategy off the tee and try to give you 4 more chances a day to hit out of that chunk. So 16 for the week. I mean, my best finish ever in Napa is like 25th. And I shot 1 under on Sunday and finished 6th. And didn't really think that I did anything good. I just put myself in a spot to give me more opportunities. I mean, 16 chances throughout 72 holes in a spot where you're one of the best on tour at. I mean, you're going to have a great opportunity to have a good week. Right. So just finding nuances like that, and just different things that kind of stick out that, may be more or less of, depending on, it's not always driver, if it's not always lay back. And, everyone sees what Bryson's doing with the game, which is incredible off the tee, and just see more and more drivers where there's definitely that, but there's also, there's a reasoning behind that. It's not just, hey, we're just going to whack it up there as close as we can. Just the way at some point, man, math wins.
Yeah.
Yeah. And trying to find more opportunities of that. And, so Hunter's been a huge asset to me and my team, the guys that help me try to be the best I can. And, it's been cool for him to be a part of it. And we've drank some great bourbon and made some birdies, and, been really, really cool to kind of see how it's all shaking out together.
Yeah, nice. Dan and I drink more bourbon than we do make birdies, but I mean, it's a good trade-off, right? I mean, I'll take the trade. I'll take the trade.
It's true.
Yeah.
So mentioning Bryson, does he run from you when you come into the gym? By the way, I ain't working out with that guy.
I don't know. I would say we have different styles. I would say this off season I've definitely lifted more than I've lifted in a while, just I wanted to kind of change it up just a little bit. I kind of felt just towards the end of the year, like a little slow, kind of my stores weren't probably as good as they should have been. So kind of changed it up just a little bit. But he's got his way of doing things. I have mine, but a little bit of it's personality too. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, like the way to get better at golf is just time, a little bit of planning and understanding, like, when you get to our level, like the margin of error and just just a little bit better, what that kind of allows you to access to do in your game is tremendous. So you start looking at that perspective, like I needed a way to get away from that, of kind of the monotony of playing and practicing every day. So, the CrossFit style of training or high intensity or different things like that was super interesting to me, because you could take different ways to program or different ways to, put together workouts, and you'd get completely different results. And I was like, okay, this is super interesting to me. And, kind of figured out how to make it applicable to what I was doing on the golf course. Kind of gave me a little bit of way to kind of get out of my own head and kind of get away from the game a little bit.
Nice. Yeah. So in my amateur way of asking, I guess it's in CrossFit and what you're doing, right? I mean, again, listening to some of your backstory and kind of the reason that you did things, right, was personally from a health reason, right? It wasn't, hey, let me become a better athlete per se. I translated into that, right, over the course of time. But, with everybody focusing on, swing speed, it's all swing speed, right? And that's kind of where it's going. Is that ever really a thought in the back of your mind, or is that just the residual of doing what you're doing? It's just going to come with it.
Yeah, I think it definitely is. I mean, there's all different programs out now as far as different ways to swing faster, but, like we talked about at the beginning, like the volume of play that we have and kind of understanding like how to make it through like just the length of season. I had a conversation with Jay Haas at Greensboro, and I was just asking like the number, like his average tournaments that he played. And he's like, man, like 21, 22 was like a bunch.
Yeah.
Like when he was going, and I was like 21, man, like you're barely out here at 21 events. I mean, you get those like, top 10 guys in the world and different things. And obviously there's both sides of it, but I mean, Sung J M's going to play 1,000 tournaments. He's going to be 30 years old. But just different things like that. So, I want to be the guy that I can go play on tour with the best players in the world. I can lift, I can run, I can, go chase my kids around. We were joking about it. I have an 8-year-old son, and we went into this, ultimately it was like a laser tag extravaganza, pretty much. Their lasers were shooting at you. And I was like, man, I could not imagine if I didn't have any level of fitness. Like this would have absolutely destroyed me a few years ago. So just, I want the opportunity to go do that and kind of be able to be with my family and not necessarily let my game or my life be such a detriment where I can't participate in all those things.
To your point, enjoy life, right? Outside of work's work, and then you've got life outside of work. So,
absolutely,
yeah, for sure. So, a couple more questions, if you don't mind. We'll ask you some fun stuff before we wrap up. I know you got something on the grill. We'll talk about that in a second. But so, just when you came out on tour, right, and you're getting started, kind of cutting your teeth, were there any who kind of took you in, or who'd you gravitate towards? Who showed you the ropes and kind of helped you navigate the being a new guy and moving your way through the tour?
I had some awesome people come around. I mean, Kenny Perry was probably the most influential. I mean, people ask like, who is your big brother? I mean, he was definitely more like my dad. Cool. And not necessarily about like even like his age or anything like that. Yeah. Just kind of the way that he spoke to me. His son Justin and I are the same age. And I remember having just a few instances playing practice rounds when Justin would come out and caddy every now and then. He'd be like, boy, you're about to get it today. And just, Kenny would see something I would do and say it was after a round or something. And he'd come up with his phone and he'd be like, did you really do this? Is this right? Did you really hit it here? And I'm like, yeah. But I had some other guys too, Josh Teeter, Blake Adams, Stuart Sink, different guys like that, all been, super kind to me in just different ways and, very welcoming. Zach Johnson, just always kind of lend an ear, just be there if, for any different thing. And, that was a huge blessing, that they took time out of their day. And I always heard it like, if you need to figure out who the old guy in the room is, you're it. And I remember being in Napa and this year, and I was looking around and I was sitting with Maverick McNeely, who I've gotten to know pretty well the last couple of years. And I just looked around, I was like, man, I don't have a clue who any of these people in this room are.
Oh, wow.
And he just looked around. It's like, well, they know who you are. And I just looked and just that kind of moment, and not necessarily like, oh, you've done it or whatever, but you just start to look around and see like the guys are getting younger and younger, and people are better, and they come out ready to play, and it's not this like learning curve of, oh, let me just get my a few years under my belt, then kind of figure it out. No, they're coming out of the gate ready to go. So, I mean, it's the evolution of the professional golfer has been tremendous. And I've kind of seen a bunch of different variations of that in my now 12-year career. So it's been pretty cool to see.
Yeah, but it sounds like it's part of the Scott Stallings DNA. I mean, I know you're involved in the Knoxville community with the Kids Play for Free program. And I mean, the things you're doing, I mean, it's just kind of a natural progression for you, right?
Yeah, it's been neat. Golf's given me more than I ever deserve, and I've tried to figure out different ways to do different things. And, the only, golf is, unless you have some form of access, people don't necessarily think about it, but, unfortunately it's an expensive thing to do. It takes a lot of time, and, trying to figure out logistics of how all that works is, can be kind of daunting. So we created a program that eliminated all the variables, which is time, cost, and availability, like literally like that. We have some unbelievable partners. Y'all be interested. We've done a bunch of barrel picks for
nice.
the program.
Yeah,
which is super cool, man. We did a Dickel, we did a Davidson Reserve, we've done a Nashville Barrel Company, just a bunch of different things where kind of put together some things that I'm super interested in, and tied in with golf, and have the charitable component with the Golf Foundation. So it's been really, really cool to kind of see how that's come together, and just to see kids at such a young age and how fast they progress, and programs like that will hopefully continue to push that on.
That's awesome.
Yeah. For future picks, if you know a guy, we would definitely be interested in getting on the list. However, we can contribute and help. We'd be more than happy to participate if you know somebody. Just saying.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out. I think it'd be cool to get like all of our group together, and there's the golf and bourbon world is not a very big world. Once we kind of all realize like what everyone's name is, like everyone either associates with like an Instagram name or like a this, and then you actually refer to someone's like given name and like, who's that guy? And you give it like a whatever, and it's like, oh, I know him.
I know that guy. I know that person.
Yeah. We did a thing with National Barrel Company and the Dad's Drinking Bourbon guys when we were down there. And like, I was using like everyone's like given like driver's license name. I didn't know nicknames. I didn't know this. I didn't know that. And I was like, hey, can you guys introduce me to this? And like, I don't know who that is. And then next thing you know, we're at dinner with like 12 people and they all know each other. And I'm the only one that doesn't really know.
The people you're referencing, right? Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I was like, I texted all you guys and no one said you knew each other. Next thing you know, we're at dinner and you guys are all giving each other a hard time. It's like, so I think a couple barrel picks are in our future, just to be able to, do some cool things with that.
Nice.
Yeah, for sure. Dan, what else about golf? I know he's got some stuff on the grill. He's probably got to jump, but you got some golf questions. I got some fun stuff to getting to know Scott a little better. So,
well, I guess real quick. So you went through this transformation in terms of physicality and all that. What does your pre-tournament routine look like now? What are you eating before the tournaments?
It kind of depends. Like whether I play late, whether I play early. I mean, to be honest, I eat pretty clean, pretty boring on the road. Maybe have one meal throughout the week that's kind of, stretch it one way or the other. But, for the most part, man, I'm pretty disciplined on the road. You find a good bourbon bar or whiskey bar throughout there, and you'll kind of do that on like a Monday night or this and that. And that's definitely not like a Friday night, like before the weekend, or, I mean, you always respect your tee times and kind of what's that around. But I keep it pretty clean, pretty boring, nothing overly exciting. And, but I do eat a lot. So
Nice.
it is fairly high volume.
Gotcha.
So I'm at hold on, I'll give you a little update on what I'm working with here. These apps and everything for cooking is literally cheating. I'm at 170 degrees. I'm good. I got a little bit.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah. What did we do?
I love this.
What did we do before that? It's like, I know what we did. We stood by the grill and we drank.
Yeah. Now I'm talking to you guys and I'm controlling everything. Literally I got the meter like stick thing in there in both of my sets of beef ribs. I got some chicken wings going on in about an hour. And be right. It gives you the update, like how long it's going to cook. I don't know if that's necessarily like, there's not really much of an art to it. And just as far as figuring out what kind of flavor you want, but pretty crazy. I have cooked a whole like meal while playing. Like I just threw a bunch of meat out there, control the different things. And I'm like, I looking like I'm like texting like some crazy thing. And next thing you know, I'm like, oh, too hot. I think I'll cool it down and figure out. So, but I'm not trying to be rude, but I am actually, what's happening.
No, that's
here.
awesome. No,
gotta go from there.
So hopefully I don't screw up any sponsorships if there are any out there. So you mentioned the meat, the thermometer. Are you a meter maid guy?
Yeah, that's what that's meter maid right there.
Okay.
So
all right.
they partner with Traeger. Traeger helps us out a pretty good bit, and Alex and their team in Utah. And I got two of them rolling right now. I got two sets of beef ribs, and I just turned my other Traeger on, and we got a whole stack of chicken wings. They're about to go on there about 4:30, 5 o'clock.
Oh,
That's
nice.
awesome.
So you've told us what you're cooking, but if we're just going to do one, if you're entering a competition and you're just going to cook one thing on the grill, what's your go-to?
These beef ribs are pretty great, man.
Okay.
Like when I meet church, Matt Pittman down there, he was super kind to us when we played down there in Dallas, and we got to spend the day with him and kind of seeing and learning from him. And Ronnie Killen, another chef in Houston, man, you learn from a guy that has a business in Texas doing barbecue. You can't fake it down there, man. Like you either got it or you don't. So figuring out, it's not overly complicated. It's giving it time and attention, and you prep it good on the front, take care of it good on the back end, and kind of ride it out in the middle. So beef ribs is not something you normally typically see in Tennessee. I've got a great buddy here in town, Simpson Meats. It's Jim Simpson and his farm. Pretty cool to have basically kind of whatever you'd want just right down the road. And so the ability to kind of learn from them and do different things. So I would say a beef rib is something that I would cook if I was doing. I'm not interested in a competition. I don't have the patience for that, but all my patience is in.
Coming from a professional golfer, I don't have the patience to barbecue or to grill. It's like I don't oxymoron if I've ever heard it, man.
Yeah, absolutely. My patience is for my family and my job. Outside of that, I'm pretty impatient. My wife would definitely resonate with that as far as she would agree completely. So, especially this little 5-year-old daughter that I have, holy cow. She takes every bit of it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I bet she does. That's too good. And I don't know if I've heard a better name of anything so far in 2022 than Meat Church.
Yeah, you'll go to Ace Hardware or Academy, or I'm sure they're at a bunch of other places, but they're everywhere. He said he's got the best job in barbecue. He said all he does is make everything you need, and you never have to taste the thing that he cooks. But I've had what he cooks, and it's excellent. So
there you go.
Yeah, awesome. So I got some questions for you. So you mentioned a couple things, and they don't have to be the same place. My first one is favorite golf course on tour, or you may want to answer a couple. It's up to you, but what's your favorite course?
Diamond Creek in Banner Elk, North Carolina. Pretty awesome. Been very fortunate to be a member there for a decent part of my career, and they were very kind to me before literally I had anything. So been pretty cool to be up there. But my favorite on tour is Muirfield, Jack's place, and incredible golf course. Obviously, anything that has his name on it's awesome. But had a really cool experience my rookie year, having a chance to spend some time with him. Completely like unprovoked. He was walking through the clubhouse the weekend before the event. I'd missed the cut at Colonial and came up early, and I literally watched, one of the greatest, not the greatest player of all time, come in the locker room completely covered in dirt. And he was he was frustrated with one of the bunkers they were redoing, so he got in there with some shovel and decided that he was going to fix it the way he wanted it to be fixed. And I mean, one of the filthiest people I've ever seen in my life, and it was him. That was the first time I ever met him.
That's awesome. Yeah,
it was awesome.
Yeah, what's your milkshake of choice at your field?
The Buckeye or cookies and cream.
Yeah. All right, go for the.
I don't have many of those as I used to, but I've had enough in my life to probably.
That's why I asked for the favorite. I figure if you're going to go for one, it's like this is my go-to, and I'm only going to have one. So make it. Can I get a small one? Just a small pour.
Yeah,
small pour
for sure.
Excited about the changes that we're going to see there this year.
Yeah, I mean, every time you go there, it's like, all right, what are they going to do now? So, I missed out the last few years as far as being an invitational. So, the position I'm in now, hopefully continue to push in and be a part of the event. But it's a super cool place. And, all the events that we plan on tour are great, but that's just one that's just kind of just a little bit step above and as far as everything that they do. So pretty cool to see everything. And, Jack is super involved and, pretty neat to see everything that comes in what makes the event what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Yeah. So the next, 10, 12 weeks, you're going to go from
all over the place.
well, East Coast, I was going to say middle of the country, but East Tennessee's, we'll call it East Coast. So West
Very
Coast.
So.
And then you're going back to the Southern East Coast. And you've been, numerous other places. Is there a favorite bourbon bar that you've like every time it's like, I know that this is going to be my cheat night and I'm making a stop?
You got to give a little bit more specific, like, are we on geographic location or best on tour or?
No, you pick. It's your answer.
San Diego, 7th and Grand, unbelievable. Like they have the Whiskey Society in the back, and you have 3 options. You go neat, on a rock, or old fashioned. That's the only 3 ways you can order. If you want anything else, there's a bar in the front, and they send you up there. Like bolo tie, mustache, like old school. Like,
oh, nice.
That's that. I mean, it is sweet. All the Titleist guys sent me there. They're a bunch of bourbon dudes and pretty cool on the West Coast, especially something you wouldn't necessarily think to see out there. Probably one of my Ponte Vedra has 2. It's got a pizza place and Valley Smoke. Very like surprising, like bourbon list, place kind of hole in the wall that you would just you would go there and the food's pretty good. Next thing you know, you end up in the bar, like, what in the world? Like, kind of like, you see some of the bars, how they set up, and you see some of the things on the top, and you're like, okay, this guy's like flexing pretty hard. Like, you walk in, the guy's got like 5 bottles of OFC sitting on the top, and you're like, okay, man. Like, I understand what I'm doing. I understand what I'm dealing with here.
It's like whatever you pour me, I'm good. Hey, why don't you just pick? Because you know what's happening.
Yeah, but some stuff that people probably wouldn't think. Sanderson Farms has a place in Jackson, Mississippi called the Manship, and we did a super cool experience with Sazerac there. We did a tasting with some players and some clients of the tournament and just different things. Sazerac brought some cool stuff in. I've done some Sazerac tastings and some different things. And, that was the first time I did Warehouse C. And, some people not, familiar with traditional Taylor or Blanton's or Eagle Rare. But next thing you know, you start throwing a 17, a Warehouse C, a Blanton's Gold, like a Stag. I mean, definitely an elevated kind of tasting experience. Sure. Well, the guy that owns Manship is on the Lincoln Road Package Barrel Pick group, which is sick. Like, and as like a thank you for being a part of the tasting and everything, they gave us some of their Lincoln Road barrel picks. I mean, they had 88 on their list. They're in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. I'm part of a barrel group here in Tennessee, and like we had 12. I thought that was pretty good. And they had 88, and I just looked at them like, and they were one of the first groups to really do it. And they gave us a maker's pick that made it about 3 hours at a dinner that I brought it to, but just different cool things like that. But
And there were only two people at the dinner.
Yeah, it's me and my wife. No, but those are probably some of my favorites. Different things. Places that people would consider, and people that the Manship's probably one of my favorites because they always have really unique experiences, and they have the full Taylor vertical, which Taylor's my favorite. People made a big deal out of the Taylor head cover on my putter and different things like that. So, any place you walk in and they have the full vertical and they sell it, I'm down.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you, man. Yeah. Good stuff. So before we get off the bourbon train and let you go, so we flexed a little on some bourbons that we like, and yeah, we like what we like, right? I mean, it's our money and we'll spend it the way we want. We'll drink it the way we like it. What's something that is, I don't want to say bottom shelf. That's not the right way. What's a standard offering in a liquor store that you could find pretty much anywhere that's like a go-to for Scott Stallings?
That you posted about Benchmark the other day. That Benchmark foolproof for $28, pretty awesome. Like,
yeah,
or like anything. We did cast strength, which makers like cast strength. I'm not a huge like makers like. I don't mind it, but like that's not like my favorite thing in the world. But the full cast strength we did, pretty awesome, and pretty easy to find. I don't need anything that's just like gulpable. Like I need something to let me know that it's packing like a little bit of a punch. Dan, are you the bartender? Like I see 100%. You're in the bar. Yeah, no. That is probably my. I like to cook. I like the different things like that. But the uniqueness of sitting behind a bar, like I could sit for hours and not drink anything and find unique things as far as what people like and what people don't. And we got a cool bar here in town, and they had forever they were one of the first people who did the smoked old fashioned with the dome and kind of the full experience. And I'd gone in, and the guy showed me, he's like, I'm gonna show you how to make a bad one and make a good one. And kind of the difference, I'm gonna make a bad or a relatively a quote unquote bad bourbon taste great, and a good bourbon tastes bad. And I'm gonna show you like the difference in how to do it. So, y'all's the different recipes and stuff that you've thrown out. That's kind of how I got introduced to what you guys are doing. So keep doing that. I know you guys keep throwing the Vicaray out there. I got a barrel aged Vicaray right behind me. Nice. So that's probably my favorite. As far as if I was going to have one more cocktail and then be done forever, that would be it.
See, that's an interesting one to me because a lot of people don't have that much experience with Benedictine, and that's one of those, like you read the recipe to make a drink and it's like, half of a bar spoon. And I'm like, I trim it back just a little bit more. But most people are like, oh, half a bar spoon. That's not enough. I need to go ahead and put a whole bar spoon. It's like, ooh, easy. Taste that before you start playing around with it, man.
Yeah, especially when you're doing a barrel, like a 1 liter barrel, and you're trying to like quantify that. I mean, same thing like bitters, like you're doing like a barrel aged Manhattan or, old fashioned or something like that. I mean, 1 + 1 is not 2 when you start dealing with something that bad. 1 + 1, I mean, it's a multiplier, not an addition factor. So figuring out how to do different things like that. And so hats off to you guys. I like all the stuff that you guys do, different picks, different cocktails, bringing golfing kind of throughout there. So I like to, figure out different ways to kind of put it all together. And, I'm super interested in all of it, from top to bottom. So hats off to you guys for what you do.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
I'd close the show, but you've already done it for us, buddy.
Sorry, I didn't mean to go, but I got a guy sitting in the bar asking me about golf and bourbon. I was like, man, this guy might have something that I need. So maybe something I don't know about. Like I try to make my own syrups. I try to I try to do it all, man. Like we got a mint plant that's out in the back that somehow our dog hasn't eaten it all, but man, I try to do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, well, don't sleep if you haven't had it yet. Don't sleep on the barrel seagrass. It's a
Oh yeah.
whiskey and it's like lots of it's a rum and lots of different finishes and stuff. But if you haven't had that one, that's a good one. Send me an address you're going to be at. I'll send you over a sample if you don't want to pick up a bottle yet. But it's an outstanding, probably one of the best things I've tasted. Well, it's one of the most unique things I've tasted in the past several years. It was definitely the best thing I tasted in 2021 for sure, man. They just knocked it out of the park, and just the experience is it's pretty crazy. Yeah, so don't sleep on that one.
Yeah. Well, I'll definitely take you up. But as far as to get back to your original question, I saw y'all posted about Benchmark the other day, and I had given some of those out for Christmas, and I think someone that gets like a bottle for me, they're like expecting like the hit you over the head with like kind of like the flex bottle, which I mean that's fine, but I want to give someone something that like like the guy's not going to pour it like this because he never knows when he's going to get it again. To show him something that hey, this is accessible, this is good, this is something like you're going to be able to enjoy and not necessarily like wish that you're never going to know where you're going to get it again. So
yeah, it's like I'm going to taste it. I'm never letting anybody else try it. And I'm going to taste it very sparingly because I may never get another bottle. And I think just with the rebranding that Benchmark did, and then coming out with that vertical, I think you can get all 5 bottles for right around $100. And it is, and you've got something from, I don't drink bourbon. It's like, here you go. We'll start you at 80 proof, I think is the entry. And then we can take you all the way through the 120 or 25, whatever the full proof. I think they did a really nice job in rebranding a truly bottom shelf bourbon.
Yeah. To kind of show all the different nuance. Have y'all done anything with the company distilling? The Jeff Arnett from Jack Daniels, they're building it and literally about 15 minutes from my house here in Alcoa. So
yeah, we haven't yet. He was kind of, we did reach out and we connected, and it was when we connected with him, it was, hey, we're, things are kind of still not new, right? But I mean, a lot of stuff going on, trying to get it established. I mean, obviously, Jeff's established, being at Jack Daniels for so many years, but, coming in, opening your own company and, just with craft distilling and where they're at today. I mean, you don't have a lot of it's kind of like becoming a professional golfer in a sense of you can't really miss the mark or somebody else is going to take your spot. So not that Jeff missed it at all. I think what I've tasted that they've came out with is really nice. So and I expect it just to continue to improve. So
yeah, it was a cool experience. I've had a chance to spend some time with Jeff, and our very first conversation was about taking barrel picks and like repurposing and blending them and toasting them and all these different things. And
nice.
He's like, man, I thought we were just going to like talk about, he's like, you're like talking about like work. I was like, man, they told me I could ask you whatever I wanted. And I'm like, that's what I want to know.
That's awesome. That's
like,
awesome,
I know it. I know how to drink this stuff. Like, like I want to know how to do this stuff that I don't have a clue about. Like how you can like extrapolate. Like he basically built what they did in his kitchen. And like in mason jars and stuff, I was like, I want to know how you did that. And like, I want to know, like if me and you go on a barrel pick and we get access to like 3 or 4 barrels and then we make our own blend, like how can we guess what that's going to be in 5 years or whatever? And he's like, oh yeah, I could do that. I'm like, I'm just like, okay, I need like an hour of your time because I could ask you a million questions. And he's like talking about golf. I was like, I don't care about golf. Like I want to know about this.
I think I just heard about a new business venture in the horizon. I'm just saying.
For sure. That's awesome, man.
Scott Stallings, it has been a pleasure, sir. I hope this is not the last time we get to do this. The next time, we should share some samples, man. We should get on and do a tasting. When I know you're busy the next several weeks, but next time you've got some downtime, you want to download, and I'll make sure Dan doesn't ask any golf questions. I mean, he might slip 1 or 2 in there, but I'll try to talk so much that he didn't have a chance. Where it goes.
Yeah, well, I've done some mobile tastings where we did with some groups. A guy did like drinks with the pros, and they mailed some samples to wherever I was, and we did them all over. And we did a Murray Hill. It was oh my gosh, literally, it was a cognac cask. It was literally the worst thing I would rather take your sweaty sock and put it in. It was awful. literally awful. And I've had some Murray Hill stuff that was great, but like we're in there like talking about it, and like everyone was taking a sip, and it was like, mm-mm. And it just immediately like, you know, everyone's trying to give like notes and everything, and we just come off a Four Roses like limited, and everyone's like, yes, like let's do more. And, so that and it was blind. Like no one knew except for the guy that was the host, and no one knew what it was. And then it finally ended. It was like some Murray Hill that they'd finished in some kind of weird cask that obviously didn't go very well for the rest of it, because I've had some other stuff that's been fine. Yeah. But so if that's something y'all are interested in doing in the future, I would be down.
So you're good. You're good with blind tastings then.
I'm decent. I'm definitely getting better. I enjoy them just because I feel like you learn the nuance, and you learn even more what you like and definitely what you hate. So like you give me like some super sweet, like feel like I'm having like a caramel sucker in my mouth. Like I'm out on that, man. I don't need anything that just tastes like candy. I want something like with a little bit of spice and a little bit of heat, and like some subtleness to it in the end that tends to be on a little bit more of the higher proof side. It doesn't need to be like, you know, hazmat or anything like that, which I did have I had a 141 in New Jersey with Hunter, the guy I was talking about. And it rolled down like, it was, I don't understand how it worked like that, but you know, it just the nuance to all of it.
It was balanced and it didn't burn like it was 141.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You see 141, like, boy, I'm not going to enjoy this at all. And then
was it was it a Jack Daniels barrel pick?
No, it was Heaven Hill that some mystery story that went about it. But that Jack Daniels is excellent.
Yeah,
absolutely excellent.
Yeah, it's you know, and growing up in East Tennessee, right? I mean, you pretty much had, it was like, oh, guess what we're drinking tonight, right? It's like, oh yeah, you're drinking Black Label Jack, and you know, I kind of got burned out on it, and it was, you know, I'm like, yeah, I don't, nope, no Jack, and then you get to a point to where it's like, okay, let me start venturing into the world of Jack Daniels, not the, you know, what consumes 20% of the shelf space. And it's like, oh shit, they're doing a lot of different things over there. That's a really good experience. So,
yeah, and same thing. Like getting back to Jeff again, like just hearing the story of how they, you know, got, you know, their full skew of all their things and kind of what worked the best. And I think all, you know, especially Tennesseans and any, you know, kind of bourbon and whiskey people, you want them to have something like a go-to. Yeah. And then they came out with that single barrel, and you're like, oh my goodness. And then they did the single barrel rye, and you're like, wow. Oh, yeah. Like that, there's like, they hid it from us. And then they came out, and it's like, oh, like something we all knew that they could do. And then they did it. And you're like, all right, now we're talking.
All right. I know you got to get some stuff off the grill. Scott Stallings, here's to a fantastic.
It's time for more. It's time for more. So
yeah, here's to a great 2022, and we'll look forward to our next show and a tasting with you, bud. Cheers.
Yep,
absolutely, man. Thank you, guys.
All right.